I'll start the meeting 7 p.m., October 4th. Welcome, everyone. And just to start off the meeting, just to advise, can you guys hear me in Zoom? Okay, thanks. For the extraordinary circumstances, the people who are excused are Kelly Buford, Julia, Margaret.
Present.
Margaret Donato, and Georgia.
She's not on this.
I keep saying that. I keep adding her and Georgia, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. So Julia and Kelly.
Kelly is here. I'm trying to change my name.
Your name is there.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So I will give my report, which is brief. I attended a cannabis consultation with Sarah, Ed, and Laura, and they gave some information on cannabis and the dispensaries, which Ed's Committee to Public Safety will continue. Many meetings, I'm sure, and I know Nick at one time also has interest in having the, at his committee too, on the merchant side. Sarah and I attended a roundtable with Commissioner Yandis Rodriguez, discussing the use and beautification on curved streets.
Again?
Department of Transportation.
On Curve Street. You know how they're widening some streets, and they're also putting in bike lanes, which you know, and the buses, they're widening the streets so that they can have stations for the buses. They're basically talking about Fordham Road a lot.
Oh, the Fordham Road bus lane?
But he's talking citywide, but he was trying to concentrate on various they have in the Bronx.
Yadanis Rodriguez is president. I got it, okay.
He had a roundtable with the community and community board. On the 20th, we went there. And it actually looks, we came back from our president's office. We got to see firsthand from a school area, but you just have a plain street, and then they just beautify it, but just also making the grounds wide enough for the people that they can converse. Some examples they had nice greeneries, tables out in the street. So they're just looking for different ways to make more use.
What about closed slip lanes? Are they looking for suggestions from the community? Yeah, you know, a couple of closed slip lanes that I know at different times, like the James Baldwin Outdoor Learning Center. There's a closed slip lane by DeWitt Clinton High School where they have their farmers market. Okay. And I believe they even maybe submitted, I know they were going to submit a plaza request to make that into a plaza. Yeah.
We'll give you the contact information, this way you guys can coordinate and give them the suggestions. And maybe get someone, because they are willing to come to the boards and speak at the committee meetings or even the community boards. They had a nice quick presentation as well.
Oh, great. Yeah, there's the other one that's just right there on Broadway. What's that called? Where Post Road comes and connects.
Manhattan College Parkway.
But as you're going, yeah, it's Manhattan College Parkway this way and Post Road that way. There's like a little slip lane that got closed off at one point.
Right.
I don't know how the businesses feel about that being a plaza, but I know that I believe there were some community interest in doing some sort of plaza there.
So we'll connect you with the speaker, and he can come to your.
I think it's a yeah. I mean, yeah, we could do it as a traffic and transportation thing. I don't know if Kelly wants to do it instead. Parks. I'm the plant. She's the loss of the access road. Yeah, there.
So, let's see. Sarah and I and meeting on open meetings. I don't know if anybody else attended. It was a Zoom meeting, so I couldn't really see what it was.
I plan to report on that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not reporting on that. Don't see much. And then also the Van Cortlandt Park Alliance,
Switch him for Julia.
a letter of support went out to the Van Cortlandt Park Alliance. They're holding an event on October 21st in Van Cortlandt Park. So myself, Deb Travis, and Ed Green did a letter of support, and we'll be submitting a resolution at the full board. The reason that the letter of support went out, they needed the letter as soon as possible for the event. They had a vendor who was assisting on site, but he's only allowed for off-site, assist in selling the beer. It's an Oktoberfest, they call it Oktoberfest. It's cute. You know, they're gonna be selling beer, German food, hiking. It's a fun-day activity. They've done it for 8 years. We spoke with the police precinct, and the same day the police precinct gave their letter of support. Captain Pierce gave a letter of support, so the three of us drafted a letter of support, sent it out to them, advising them that we're still putting it before the full board. It was time sensitive, and that's the only reason that the letter went out before the resolution.
Why was it time sensitive?
Because the event is being held October 21st, and the State Liquor Authority needs to have everything set up beforehand. The vendor, it's called the Bronx Beer Hall, the Bronx Beer Hall.
They're on Arthur Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen them, I'm saying, if they've been doing it for so long, why is it that they?
Because the Van Cortlandt Park Association doesn't hold the license, the beer vendor does, and he thought that he could do it as many times.
He didn't realize that he had capped out on the number of off-site events that he could do, and so he didn't apply to do additional, so he'd already done 4. But it's basically like catered.
Yeah. Pretty basic. Any other questions? And I think that's about it with mine. Marty, I know, has a lot of information to give on hybrid sessions. I'm not going to discuss it, it's in my report, but I'm going to defer it to Marty. And that's it. Any questions? Okay, so then we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Let me just see where I have, hold on. One second.
Let me look at Zoom to see if they had any reports. Thank you.
Wait, let me just move this. Sorry, give me 1 second and get the treasurer's.
Everybody should have their reports anyway, because they've
Yeah.
been given out. Go ahead, Scott.
All right, you can see I guess you have it in front of you, the updated, draft treasurer's report for October of 2024.
All right, go ahead.
All right, Table 1 is just a breakdown overall of, the budget by PS, personal services, and OTPS, other than personal services. Services are just, the salaries paid to our staff, and you see it updated there, what's remaining. Other than personal services, we're at $21,773. Table 1.1 breaks that down to the various spending codes. So we're paying our bills. We haven't received any official word about budget cuts. I know they came out at the last board meeting, whether or not those cuts will actually affect us, but we obviously want to be prepared. So we do have a $10,000 cushion in Object Code 499, which we like to keep as a safety measure. And going forward, we really don't anticipate any really large imminent purchases. So we're going to stay pretty conservative the rest of the year, but we'll continue to monitor the situation with the city and the possible budget cuts. No budget modifications this month. We have $1,314 in encumbered funds. That's bills that are inputted but not yet processed yet. Finally, Table 1.4 is rent and energy detail that we don't have any control over, but we'd like to keep it here for our reference.
so then we'll go on to the district manager's report.
Hello, everyone. Everything's been very busy and in full swing since September. I've been working closely with Chair Julie Reyes to find, help find new office space. We have a meeting with DCAS actually this week to discuss some new options and also discuss the old options as well. Wish there were many, I guess. I have attended, along with Chair Reyes and Budget Chair Gelman, the 3 borough-wide budget consultation meetings with OMB and our city agencies these last 3 weeks. And I will send the responses that I have from each agency to the executive committee. Chair Reyes, Budget Chair Gelman, and I have also met with Councilman Dinowitz and requested to meet with our other council representatives to go over their budget priorities for fiscal year 25. The chair and I are also working on the final details for the new member and new chair orientation coming up on October 26th at Downey's Bar and Grill. I'm excited to hear our own Marty Walpoff make a presentation and have invited representatives from the Department of City Planning to give a presentation regarding the ULURP process and zoning laws. I do ask everyone, please RSVP by next week so we can prepare and also let Downey's know how many people we are. We really encourage all of our 12 new board members and our new chairs to attend, and also invite all board members to come and also give your own insights and just, you know, learn something new maybe also. I've been very busy interviewing and working to fill our community coordinator position. I was impressed with a few candidates and will hopefully be announcing that we have a new community coordinator very soon. Mayor Adams announced that there will be a hiring freeze, and I am working very quickly to try and hire a candidate as soon as possible. Lastly, I held a district service cabinet meeting this week, and I will be sending out my memo to our executive committee. And thank you to our officers and chair, Julie Reyes, for putting in extra time and giving continued support to our office. Thank you.
Any indication when that hiring freeze would begin?
They're being it's coming up very soon. It hasn't been confirmed as far as I know as of yesterday when I spoke to OMB. And the person that approved the hiring said he is away this week and cannot do anything till next week anyway. So, I think I have a week. We'll see, maybe.
Sounds like a rest job.
Sounds like, there have been a lot of rumors, like.
There's a lot of
It's
rumors.
gonna happen October 1st.
But I would like to, make sure we hire someone before we get stuck in that position. Roll call?
Julie Reyes. Gio Villaverde. Scott Frompinger.
Present.
Walter. Steve Martinez. Fazio. Leah Alexander. Lindsay. Bob Kaplan. Here. Mergler. Oprah.
Here.
Travis.
Present.
Buford.
Present.
Gomez. Gelman.
Present.
Um, 13 present and, 2 ECs. Is a quorum. Is how many members? 17? Yeah,
I believe the absences, right?
19 is total.
So 13 present, 2
19 total.
EC,
Mhm.
and then 4 absent. 13 of 19 is a quorum.
Mhm.
And the trainee at Downey's to learn.
Yeah, we have to add that to the list.
Yeah, Marty will be talking about that as well. Okay.
Cliffhanger.
Thank you, Margaret. One thing I forgot to mention, I'm going back to my report, a big omission. I asked Rosemary Jinsey to step in and act as interim chair for the housing, and thankfully she accepted. Big omission for me, thank you. Thank you. And the next item, the approval for the September 6th Executive Committee minutes. Everyone received them. Are there any edits or comments to the minutes? And Julia,
Hi,
you
this
good with
is
them?
Kelly. Good evening. I have a friendly amendment to the minutes. It doesn't impact the language. There are several references where, you quote, you indicate DM and I. It may be better form to just say chair and DM as opposed to putting it in the first person. Just make it gives the position title instead of first person.
Enough, thank you.
You're welcome.
And, I made some edits to my, but I sent them to you, Farah. Did you incorporate them?
I have to,
You
I'm
have-
sure I did, but I will double check and resend to everybody.
Okay.
If we're gonna accept them, wouldn't it have to be done here? It would be nice.
Definitely they are, yeah.
What are they, David? That much I know.
Off the top of my head, it was just about, the budget years and, what we were gonna be addressing, at the, hearing, next week.
Wasn't that on your, where is it? Wasn't that on your, the notice?
No, this was in the minutes of the executive meeting.
Motion to approve as amended. Year 24. Before year 25, okay. Yes, I found it.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. All right. Okay, so motion to approve the minutes, anyone?
You already motion?
Okay.
David seconded.
Okay. Vote? Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? And all agree. Room is the same. Thank you, and thanks Kelly for that, and David. Okay, so now we're going to committee reports and resolutions. Now, I had my little timer here. It's kind of sparse, so I don't think we'll need it tonight. Okay.
We gotta start.
The agenda is from 7 to 8:30. We're not finished by 8, then I'll start but then that would be unfair. Okay, so I'm gonna use it, but I have to say up front that Marty is gonna get a little bit more because he has a little bit more to report on hybrid and a whole bunch of other issues. I've given him my 3 minutes, I said that in the beginning of my report. Okay, so, here's report. Aging. It should be, I'm not gonna put the timer for you.
I'm the
And
new
for
chair.
those who don't know, say you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's nothing really to report until we have a meeting. Meeting is going to be the second Thursday at 4 o'clock of each month.
Okay, I'm gonna start with the timer, start, 3 minutes. Okay, the next one is budget, David?
Okay, we have our budget hearing, on Tuesday, immediately preceding the board meeting. It will be about, what we, have, put forward, and we discussed at the, the executive meeting last month, but it will be the capital and expense budget priorities for fiscal year 2025 that begins in July 1st. And we will have the budget hearing where the community has the opportunity to come and speak about what they observe about those priorities and ask for a change to it, but if they wish, maybe to prioritize something higher or lower or what have you. And it is strictly focused on the capital budget of priorities and the expense budget priorities. It is not an open session on X, Y, or Z within the community board. And then we'll take the results of that and vote on those priorities during the board meeting that follows. And you were to have a resolution to that effect, and frankly, I didn't produce it. But the gist of it will be, whereas we met, we proposed the capital and expense budget priorities for fiscal year 2025. And that will be the resolution I will present during the board meeting on Tuesday following the budget hearing.
And that's it.
Questions?
Do I make my presentation now, or shall I wait until the budget hearing next week?
What presentation is that?
I had mentioned at the September Executive Board that the libraries downtown had sent a letter with some of their requests. They're always behind us. And I have now drafted a item for them. So it isn't on the exec yet. I can read it now. Yeah.
Can you enlarge it a bit, please?
Hold on,
Do I read it, or?
just get it back up.
Down the lower right.
Here?
Yeah, that,
There you go.
that horizontal bar.
Yeah.
I got, it's just my.
So, from the Education, Libraries, and Cultural Affairs Committee and NYPL, and it's to enable local branches to address the current asylum seekers crisis, including welcome kits for children and families during outreach events, in-person ESOL, that's language classes, to help with immigration services, improve the immigrants' language skills, and connect with the community. So I would like to place that on the executive minutes in place of a item that I had on there that is supposed to be advocating for 6-day open libraries. That is going to happen anyway, so I would like to place this in place. So it's not moving anybody around in committees or anything like that.
For clarity, not the executive minutes, but rather in the expense budget priorities, number 2, which is, let's see, to continue 6-day service, which coincidentally, our councilman told us this morning, the council is funding it citywide, so it's not.
Not eliminating it.
We're taking out something that's already done, so, given the extraordinary circumstances, I don't think we've had an immigrant crisis like this in a century. It's quite pressing. I think it's a reasonable thing to do in this one case, to substitute this item as presented for expense number 2, which is moot anyhow. So, any comments?
Sounds like a good idea.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Sylvia. Next budget, economic development. Does anyone have a report for economic development? His next meeting, He mentioned that, he mentioned at his meeting last night that he was doing a walking tour November 3rd. More information at the general board meeting. That reflected in the minutes in case anyone is interested. Information in libraries?
Finally heard from School Authority, regarding, making the Van Cortlandt, Motel into a school. They're proposing, 547, seat primary school. It is on, block 5841. There's 3 lots connected to it. I don't really know what square footage is of that, but it sounds big to me. Hope that when they're coming to my meeting on October 24th, I hope they will clarify that. And it's supposed to be 32,675 square feet. I still, to me, that's just numbers. I don't really know. So, send you some questions. They'll answer it before the meeting. They're not reliable, and it's very difficult working with them.
Where's the site? Van Cortlandt Motel on Broadway.
I heard mention, I'm gonna.
And 32,000, I think the apartment building on Visitation is 59,000.
We'll get all the facts at Sylvia's meeting. They'll come and present, and we'll forward the.
They will probably do exactly what's on this sheet. I don't think they're going to say anything else. It's just a matter of accepting the site or not accepting the site.
Forward with your questions. Carol will send it and she'll CC us.
Who's the contact of the SCA?
Okay?
Yes.
I'll send that to you, yeah.
Hallway, actually. Andrea Bender.
Know them?
No, I know, that does the project.
Experience in that?
It was good, I mean, yeah, it was good.
The Van Cortlandt site where they have a asylum residence at the moment?
That's correct.
It used to be a homeless shelter.
No, this is north of the W.
Migrants.
The next half block north of the W.
Portland also had, homeless at one point.
Right, but right now, I think it's,
Now it is the
Anything else to report? Well, you said the date is
meeting is on October 24th
what time?
at 7:30.
Okay, we'll go, we finished right on time. Okay. We'll start with we'll go next to environment and sanitation. Bob Newsy isn't here. There's still an open seat as chair for environment and sanitation. If anyone, think of a board member who may have shown interest, contact Farah or myself. I would say me or Farah. Kelly, I'm listening to you.
Well, Bob hasn't, accepted interim.
So we need a chair, though. Yeah.
But just to say.
Bob
That's
has
what I
accepted
just said.
interim? Okay.
Yeah. I mentioned that in my first meeting. You guys are not paying attention. And I just said it tonight, too. Okay. So that's with environment and sanitation. I know. And hopefully, I'll speak with Bob Panuzzi and see if they'll have a meeting, because we cannot have meetings just because. Even if I have to do a meeting, and you guys are gonna have to teach me, because environment and sanitation is not my forte. We'll go with health and hospitals. Rabbi Kaplan?
Sure. Our next meeting is next Wednesday, the 11th at 7. With someone from DOHMH giving a briefing on the 3 new vaccines, COVID and flu. And we will go over the prioritization that happened at the last meeting. The last meeting, we had the advisor for Dr. Connect, the advisor to the borough president, go over the borough president's healthcare priorities for the Bronx. And then we did a survey of what the folks on the committee feel are the priorities they want to be discussing over the next year. A clearer picture of what's happening in the Bronx. We'll begin taking a deeper dive into that process.
Thank you. And your next meeting is when, I'm sorry?
Next, the 11th at 7.
You had a good presentation last month, thank you. We'll go to housing, which is.
So the October meeting is Monday, October 23rd. Thank God it's late in the month so that can figure out what direction we want to go in. I did look at the committee members. It's two people have been on before, which is good. But there's a lot of new people who are on the housing committee, so more than fine. But I'll be sitting down, have a talk with you with presence of that housing committee. There have been two things that Farrah was kind enough to send. The City of Yes, City Planning did this, so that's housing and zoning. Clearly there's going to be something there to deal with. And the budget consultation meetings where you never know what information you pick up at those things. The city says that they are going to come up with, they're going to reinvent the J51 program, which really was very important for rehabilitating housing. And Adolfo Carrion kicked off the housing section of that, and he said, I was a little surprised, he said the lion's share of HPD's work is going to be on preservation and modernization of housing. New construction, I mean, obviously new construction, but he really emphasized that. So when they come out with this new J51, that'll be something I'm sure the committee and the board will be interested in. Also going to come up with a 421 program that's separate. I don't know how they're going to do it, but again, so there are things that are dribbling in that will be interesting to pick. Off to a start.
Thank you, and thank you again for stepping in. We'll go with Andrew.
I wasn't given authorization to report, but there were 4 items on the agenda, excuse me, involving ULURP, and they were all put off. They were all given homework assignments and asked to return. So it'll be in this month's meeting coming up. SAR made a presentation on the construction on their 2 sites, and what I leave out, there was a presentation on City of Yes, which we were terribly disappointed because they had told us we had time to make a presentation, and they would we had time to discuss it and offer to them our input with respect to City of Yes, and they changed the ground rules and had their meeting before our meeting. So I believe the resolution is coming before the committee board, or it was last month.
Yeah, last
month, in which we protested the fact that there was nonsense. Rosemary and I, very full-time, I was there a short period of time. There was a presentation on City of Yes that we zoomed in on, and I expected nothing different other than the warning was very loud and clear. We both believe R1 districts are in jeopardy. They want multiple housing, and the idea that they're 1- and 2-family neighborhoods, I think, is a myth, and they're going to change all of that. So it does not bode well for our future. From London.
Thank you. Now you can.
Your mouth is muzzled. You can't say yes to anything.
Now you can put on your other hat, law, rules, and ethics.
Could you put my thing up, please? If you can make it much larger, because I can't read it from here.
Want me to share the screen first with this? Let me share this.
Share the screen.
Hold on. And we want this guy.
Increase the size. Left my binoculars home.
Oh. I think that's as big as I can
That's
do
good.
it.
Okay. We center it better, but it's fine. First is, I have 3 items. The first one, except for my conclusion, is you're all aware of this. Under the resolution we passed almost 2 years ago to provide for hybrid meetings, we didn't start doing them until actually this year. And so, one of the areas of contention, and I've heard it from both sides, and that is, there may be a laxity on the part of some chairs as to what is an extraordinary circumstance and what is not, and who approves them, who doesn't approve them. Obviously, the chair of a committee has a lot of discretion. The question on one side is, should there be some standardization so that if you approve my request for an issue and you don't, and there's somebody else doesn't approve, is there a problem there? Something that LRE wants to look into and investigate. I sent out an email. In November, we're going to have a survey to see what kind of requests have been made, what the response to those requests have been. We're not going to ask name for name, because under the rules, we're not to know why X or Y requested the extraordinary circumstance. But it's important to know what those categories were and whether they were accepted or not. And so I ask you to look again on the website where we have A was the resolution, and we have to decide by May whether to extend it or get rid of it or whatever. And then separate from that, we passed procedures on how hybrid meetings could take place. With respect to hybrid meetings, that's the wrong terminology, and it gets weird all the time. It is not hybrid until somebody requests. So when you put out a notice saying there'll be a hybrid meeting, you can't possibly know 2 weeks in advance because no one has asked for or have a hybrid to participate via hybrid. So it becomes hybrid at the moment there is a request made and granted, and tonight we have 2 people, and it's a hybrid meeting. So I asked you to look at them. People don't go down yet.
Don't go down yet.
Not yet. So I asked these questions just in general. I don't expect an answer tonight. This will be on the LRE agenda next Thursday, and will be on every month until, and we'll come back here. But I'd love your input, and I'd love anyone who has a feeling strongly or otherwise, please let me know, so that could be part of the discussion at the meeting. So should we maintain, alter, or remove extraordinary circumstances? Should there be an attempt to establish a uniform or denial process? Should chairs authorize EC for themselves? Now, I'm raising this because I'm going to have this problem in November. And if I've told a lot of people, I'll tell it again. I have my granddaughter's bat mitzvah in Florida on the date of my, not on the date, but 2 days prior to the LRE meeting. So it leaves me several options. Do I cancel the meeting? Do I postpone the meeting? Do I ask Steve Fruit to chair the meeting? There are lots of options. Or, I'm not going to ask myself, but can I give myself an EC because it may not be an emergency, but it is extraordinary. It doesn't happen too often that my granddaughter has a bat mitzvah. So those are the kind of questions that I have to ask ourselves and ponder it and think about it. Now, having said all of this, as mentioned earlier, we attended last Friday, we Zoomed in last Friday on a session from COG, and this is about the 4th one I've attended. Nothing new ever happens until this happened, and this got sprung on us. Nobody told us. Could you please roll up, Dana?
All right, I'm ready.
Ask a question about the proceeding?
Farrah, could you go back up?
Roll back.
First of all, what is the new wrinkle in 5?
Wrinkle I'm about to express, right?
Okay, can you go up 2 more paragraphs? All right, you go from C to E, is there a D?
Yes, there are. I just did that on purpose.
Okay.
I wanted to highlight these.
Fine, that's fine, I just wanted, that's fine.
I'm glad you brought it up, because one of the things that bothers me, I don't want to be the cop. I don't like being put in that situation. The rules are both the law and our procedures say you have to be on face all the time. You cannot use a screen, a picture, a name. You have to be personally screened. Doesn't mean you can't walk out of the room for whatever. It does mean that you can't rely on a screen for that purpose. Now, for the wrinkle. The wrinkle suddenly is, and I had this battle with COG last year over and over again. Thanks to Sylvia, I had this battle over and over again. And the issue is, you must be present, or if you're on hybrid, you must be visible and you must be interactive. And we've had a situation, I'm not going to go too deeply into it now, where that was not possible for a couple of members. So I asked under ADA, I asked COG, because the law says you have to make allowances for ADA. And I've asked COG in writing, in person, and I keep getting, we don't define ADA. Go find out somewhere else. So I looked somewhere else. Borough president said, no, these 2 people cannot participate under those conditions. And I finally contacted the mayor's office and got to the Office of Legal Affairs, who said I could. And as a result, the procedures indicate that that is possible. So Sylvia knows that, we went through that battle, we had tears and then with anger, but we finally got it through. Now they passed the law which says, OML Section 103A2C, which says, for such public body at any meeting conducted through video conferencing pursuant to this section, did I miss the important part? The important part here is a person who has a disability not only can participate under any circumstances, but counts in the quorum. So if we needed 10 people for a quorum, and 8 people were present, and 2 people had a handicapping condition or a disability, they would count for the quorum, which sounds counterintuitive, but magic, there it is. We went through all that hell last year, and suddenly this pops up. And to my knowledge, nobody has been informed about this until it was sprung on us on this slide at the meeting on Friday.
And if we attended, we still wouldn't know. If we
Had we
didn't.
not attended, we still wouldn't know, that's true. So I find this extremely weird. So, we'll go down, it says here, before you go down, where is it? See it? Okay, roll up a little bit then. I can't find it there, but in the next slide,
Oops, sorry. Go down more, you mean?
go down. The next slide, this comes directly out of the law they reference, because COG still doesn't want to be involved in defining what a disability is. And so this is the term disability, and A, B, and C are very specific about what a disability is. However, the question was asked on Friday, what is a disability? How do you know if a person has a disability? And the answer was, strangely enough, if they say so. Well, how do you know? If they say so. So if I call up and say, I need EC because I have a disability, you don't have to know, it might stub my toe, but the fact is, I claim I have a disability, and you have to accept it based on this rule, and I count for the quorum. I find all of this extremely weird, particularly because the specific purpose of OML is for all of us to meet in person. And the whole idea of EC, which I thought was a gift, I find it a gift that bites. And, if I had a vote right now, I would ask us to get rid of it, period. We should have conferencing without a doubt. It has increased our participation, without a doubt. But I have to pick between whether or not your sniffle is as bad as my flu. I find that disturbing. So I leave that for discussion, and just know this new wrinkle is in the game. If we're committed to the earlier idea, then this one, question of disability, becomes an important issue. Which we knew before, but now it's a more important issue. So that's my discussion on hybrid. Are there any questions? I'll take them. If not, I look forward to hearing from anyone's comments with respect to how you feel about the future.
So are you saying that you think it would be better if the policy was that all board members had to attend in person in order to be quorum?
Personal feeling, yes. That's the way it was in the early part of our lifetime. The last 3 years, it
So
became different.
would this actually not allow it? Because even if our norm was everybody had to attend in person, and there was no such thing as a hybrid meeting, just meetings that are publicly available over the internet, that a person could still say, I have a disability, and therefore you have to accommodate that by allowing me to remotely participate. It would be the same thing, right?
That's an issue I have to investigate, because the answer to the original part
The
is
reasonable
we have to
accommodation.
make accommodations under ADA, and apparently if someone's had a disability, so you may say, nobody else can have, extraordinary circumstances, except
for
people
ADA.
who have ADA.
But this doesn't seem to be too different than normal ADA. It just seems that after COVID, we now see this as pretty reasonable that we have Zoom. Maybe something that wasn't recognized before, but the concept of saying, I have a disability, and you don't ask me about my disability, because that's also part of ADA, I'll tell you, and that you make a reasonable accommodation. If you look at it from that lens, it makes sense. I agree with what you're saying from the open meetings law sense.
Marty? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Laura. Just for clarification, so somebody stating they have a disability, is this something that needs to be stated in writing or just verbally, or how does it work?
I can't believe how loose COG was. Really loose. Disability? Accepted. Need a note? No. Need a picture, an x-ray? No.
A HIPAA lawsuit or, or anything else, that's why nobody's gonna do.
What I'm finding fascinating is after they ignored it all of this time, suddenly they spring this surprise and told nobody.
The letter probably prompted the change.
Could be.
I wanted to say that,
Bob was
oh, I'm
No,
sorry,
no,
you
please,
know
go
what,
ahead.
because I
Go
don't
ahead.
see you.
No, please go ahead.
Say that it's a mixed bag. I know, one thing I've been looking at, and having this meeting on June 29th was the first full board meeting where we kind of were testing the waters there. And I have to say, there was a member who was presenting a resolution, but was taking care of his parents in Washington, D.C. I was very grateful that we had this ability to have him be able to present and to vote on his own resolution. It increases board participation. I would like to believe that it's not going to be with disabilities. We know who on our board cannot attend meetings physically. We know who they are. If new board members come in, we'll understand that, we'll have learned that. I like to think that it's not going to be taken advantage of. It's good news, actually, that they will come, because they're members of this board and they cannot attend any committee meetings or full board meetings. And so I take it as good news.
Couldn't use what happened in, the Human Rights Commission.
hybrid via Zoom if they request various different extraordinary. That was back and forth, and this is, it's changed. Going back to what it was. In terms of expectations and rules that you had prior to COVID, whether we like it or we don't like the change, it's just the reality that the world would look. I think that what I'm hearing from you, and I'm hearing from them as well, is that folks are struggling right now to figure out what that all means and how you define it. And the fact that it's loosely defined means that they haven't been able to really get to a firm definition. Issue of has become something that is rife with legal implications. To sue somebody is that these kinds of issues on a pretty regular basis is the way that things happen nowadays. I'm not going back. I think we have to live by these some of these rules, and I just want to is that I think that most people. What is you? I'm going to be traveling in November out of the country. I don't think I can attend hybrid unless I want to be up at 4 a.m. in the morning. But the reality is that I think most people will, as most people are attending a lot of other meetings, attend in person, participants in person, and when they can.
Jews did 9/11.
This meeting's just been hijacked by the angry white goyim. Hail the Fuhrer! Hail!
Okay, angry little boys. Showtime's over. You can go home now.
Sit down, bitch.
The ADL is an anti-white hate group. Ban the ADL.
Ban the ADL. Send all Jews to Israel, bitch. You're first on the boat.
Why are Jews allowed to suck baby penis? Specifically rabbis. Doesn't make any sense.
Look at
Catholic
this
priests get
Jew.
condemned for sucking baby penis.
Julia Gomez.
Why are Jews allowed to suck baby penis? Just tell us. There's a Jew sitting right there. What's the deal, guys?
That's a simple question. After the 8th day, they circumcise the penis, and then the mohel goes and puts his mouth on the penis and performs. Yeah, you can mute us. That's fine. There's a button to unmute. Just why are Jews allowed to suck baby penis? Answer the question, please.
Jesus calls them the synagogue of Satan.
A very competent and internationally recognized security team. If you'd like some, we'd be more than happy to do that. However, all that being said, I think that this is the new reality we live in, and we're just going to have to accept that new reality and go with the flow, so to speak, trusting that people will show up in person when they can, and because that's what people are really looking for. That time and time again, and all the various different things that I'm doing out there in the world, that people are no longer taking quite the advantage that they once took of the Zoom ability. They're taking advantage of it in a positive way rather than a negative way.
I'm very glad that we have Zoom. I think it's vastly increased our community's participation. But I think that the hybrid approach has been problematic. And we said from day one, when the problem first came up, we weren't sure whether Zoom would work at all. and it's worked out actually pretty well. But we knew things would be evolving. I think that Marty's perspective on making sure that, we accommodate, people for disability reasons is very, very reasonable. But when you sign up for the board, the expectation is that you're gonna go to at least 3 meetings a month for 10 months. And, you may not make a meeting, and the chair may not make a meeting, that's why you have a vice chair. But I think that, and we'll discuss it more, I think, at, LRE, but I think that we should definitely, do what, those, issues or approaches do to disability. But in terms of having a hybrid because you have personal reasons, the flu, childcare, working late, what have you, well, it happens. And it will happen to all of us, and that's okay. If you, tend to miss a lot, that's a different issue for the officers to address, or possibly executive committee. But generally, the expectation is that you are going to attend at least 30 meetings through the year. And if you miss a couple, it happens. It happens.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I just want to say that I gave you my 3 minutes, we're gonna bring this discussion to Marty's committee, and
there'll be a survey in November to get.
Marty's gonna be working on this every month, and discussions will definitely be. Do you have anything else in your report?
I'm sorry to say yes.
Okay.
If you go back, please.
And I just want to say real quick, because that was disturbing. So I just checked the door. Let's in the future not leave the door open with a carpet. The door was open, so.
We have that buzzer with the video.
We have the video, we have everything. Let's not leave that door open anymore. Thank you. Go ahead, Marty.
All right, I'll make the second section very brief. You will receive from me, and I will put out to the full board. This was put out a couple of years back. I sent it out to the entire board. I think Sergio made the original request, that the whole city charter thing is above some of us to sit and read the charter to find out what you could and could not do. And so COIB came out with a plain language guide, the things you should and shouldn't do. I raise this for a number of reasons, particularly because, as Bob Bender has said, one of the highlights of my LRE meetings is when we discuss the COIB findings and people being fined, fired, the former member, whatever, for having violated stupid things. It strikes me, it strikes us as strange, like when a guy who has a mortician's job on the side takes bodies out of the morgue, out of the city morgue for his personal business, so he can drum up business. I have your body here. The funeral will take place from here. I mean, weird things. Deputy,
I didn't entirely follow.
Somebody comments, resigned from that business,
Deputy Bronxborough president was found to be in violation. The chancellor of the city Board of Ed was found to be in violation. It amazes us who gets caught and for what stupid reasons they get caught for, when any idiot should have known you can't do that. So I hand this out with a notice about, most of this stuff in CHR, we don't have vehicles we can abuse, we don't have, but we do have a community board equipment which we might abuse. We do have office facilities which we might abuse. So just a heads up and a warning. That's why COIB put this out, and I've said enough for the moment. Final and last, I was asked to raise this final issue. If you can roll up a little bit. Voting. Most of you have heard me say this before. In our board, we have 4 ways to vote. We can vote yes on a resolution, no on a resolution. We can abstain, and I find it fascinating watching the circus at the House of Representatives again. they didn't use it this time, but if a member of the House of Representatives says present, they don't count in the quorum anymore. It reduces the number of votes you need to make the quorum. That's not true for us. If a person votes present or abstain, that counts as a no vote, basically, because in order for a resolution to pass, you need a majority of those present and voting. Example is, I've used this over and over again, 10 people are present. In order to, something to pass, you need 6 affirmative votes. So in case number 1, 5 vote yes, 5 vote no, nobody abstains, and the fourth way to vote is present, ineligible to vote. If you have a conflict, believe you have a conflict, may have a conflict, this will be helpful, and you can ask me if you want to, and if not, COIB has a phone line, and you can ask them, and they'll put it in writing, the response, and so just know that. So present, ineligible to vote. And if you note, Charles Murdo does that many, many times because his firm represents X, Y, or Z, and the conversation before us involves X, Y, and Z. So even though he's not counsel for, his firm represents, and he declares himself ineligible to vote and tells us why. But I want to come back to that. So if 5 vote yes and 5 vote no, it does not pass. If 5 vote yes and 4 vote no, and 1 abstains, it does not pass. If 5 vote yes and 4 vote no, 0 abstain, but 1 is ineligible to vote, it does pass. Because the person who is ineligible to vote no longer counts toward the quorum, and the number required for majority has been reduced. The question I was asked to raise here, and this is my last point, is that while everyone has the authority, self-obtained authority to abstain, sometimes it gets kind of flaky when people abstain en masse. And the question is why? And it can be polled. Why did you abstain? Well, I didn't know enough about the issue. That's why I abstained. Or I felt I didn't want the public to know that I'm against this. It doesn't float so well, so be careful to use that one. There are various reasons to abstain, and you have the right to abstain, but the chair always has the right to ask why you abstained. Particularly with ineligible, why are you ineligible? Well, you can say, I was informed by COIB that I have a conflict, end of discussion. You don't have to say what the conflict is. So I make those comments, and with the advisory that you can, if someone abstains, I mean, the concern is a number of hot issues are coming up, the group home, the dormitory, and so on. I can go on. And fear is, we've had occasion, I can think of one last May, where abstentions won. Now, that seems kind of silly, personally seems silly to me, but people didn't want to put themselves yes or no. Abstentions won. The resolution failed. I'm done.
Thank you, Marty, thank you.
I have a question from the balcony.
Sorry, so if you're ineligible, you don't count for quorum. If that puts you on the quorum for the meeting, can the vote proceed?
Yes, you still count as present, and the quorum exists, but for the vote purposes, you don't count. The majority question.
And I never heard of that. Where's the authority to poll someone as to why they're abstaining? Where's that come from? Because I never heard of that.
I have read that. I will get you the exact citation.
And if somebody says, if I say I'm ineligible because I think I have a conflict, and somebody challenges me, and everybody goes, that's not a conflict. A majority vote that I'm eligible. Me saying I think I have a conflict.
The answer to your question is you probably won't be pressed. What is your conflict?
But
if you were pressed,
you can be pressed, and people say that's BS.
And I probably, as parliamentarian, saying, "What are you kidding?"
To who?
To you.
Oh, I thought you meant to the rest of the.
I would say to you that under the guidelines of the plain language, that is not one of the conflicts.
Okay. Thank you, Marty.
And Thanks for taking all my
Yes,
questions.
Marty.
Next up is Parks and Recreation.
Right, so the next Parks Committee meeting is October 25th. At the most recent one, the news of the day was really wrapping up the International Cricket Council. They had decided, they contacted us to say that they were not going to consider Van Cortlandt Park at this time, and that they were going to put the New York aspect of their event in Long Island. So we sent them a letter wishing them well, and encouraging them to build bridges with the cricket community in Van Cortlandt Park, and to sponsor tournaments or camps or whatever, things like that would be free and available to the public during Cricket T20 2024. Let's see, we, at the most recent meeting, we talked about the stables, and we had the Riverdale stables came, and they gave we had a really interesting discussion, I think, about how the stables function, who uses them, how much they cost, and the purpose of it was to give feedback, because the concession agreement that governs who gets to run the stables will be expiring in summer of next year. And so the concessions unit, which is a division of the Parks Department that's citywide, reached out to us to request any feedback or comments that we might have for their request for proposals that will be forthcoming. So that was kind of the purpose of this. The main issues that the committee kind of provided as feedback, I would say, one is just affordability, making sure that, try to find ways that to encourage proposals that maybe had pony rides, for example. That one of the things that folks often would bring up when I would ask them about the stables was the first thing they would say was like, oh, my grandmother used to ride ponies there, or I used to ride a pony there, but they haven't offered any kind of pony rides during this tenure, this 10-year contract. And so we asked them, why is that? Why do they have pony rides in Pelham Bay Park, but they don't have them here? Their summer camp is $825, I think, a week. Why is that? Why is it so expensive? Who attends it? It's actually fairly poorly attended in the summer. And so just saying to them, is it possible to have it be more affordable, or there's scholarships? What kind of outreach do you do? So the committee I think the main points were really just making it more accessible, like when they're considering future proposals, to try to find ways to make the stables as accessible to the broadest range as possible, making them affordable, and doing outreach, like not relying on just a small kind of word of mouth, but to get the word out. All right, I hear it. There was we did have some community members concerned about the driving range and how long that's taking. There hasn't really been any signs of construction at the Mosholu Golf Course, so we'll follow up with that. And then, I think that's it. Next meeting is October 25th, and we did the Hiketoberfest stuff, so. Yeah. It'll be 7.
You said that questions or suggestions are gonna go into the concession division of the Parks Department for things to consider in the RFP. Has that been done, or that's still open? Can other people on the board?
Sure.
So it's still open?
They're still open for any kind of comments that folks have. The way that the RFP process works is that they basically say, we're looking for ideas that relate to this particular property. And then they want others to come to them and say, what we'll do is we'll pay you this fee, we'll upgrade this equipment, and we'll run a stable that will have, X number of students that will use it.
It's still open.
It's still open, yeah.
And we'll announce that at the board meeting next week, right? That's still open.
It's still open.
Okay, next is public safety.
Malcolm X said that anybody who gives even a just criticism of the Jew is instantly labeled anti-Semite. The Jew cries louder than anybody else if anybody criticizes him. You can tell the truth about it.
not Brett, it's Jim.
Give me a minute, let me get him off.
No,
No.
because I know the other kid goes to the meetings, a good kid, he's not doing that. It's,
Conley's been on the call the whole time.
Right,
Just waiting for his moment.
exactly.
right.
Okay. Hi, I'm gonna share the screen in a minute, I'm not letting these two in.
I think we have to let people in. even if we
Now,
use
these
them.
two are
We're not letting them in.
not
Do we know the names?
Look at the names, Gabe, they're obviously pranksters.
pranksters, yeah.
How do you know?
You can
Read the
tell.
names.
Okay, so we're gonna look at,
Oh, I
we'll
don't
look
know.
at the video later. We have 20 more minutes, so while she's doing that, you could do your report.
Oh, I have more time?
To remove them, Farah.
Public safety,
Them.
No, I mean from the waiting room.
Okay, we're gonna, let's
See,
go,
I'm not,
let's go on with your
at
report.
the end of the meeting.
Go ahead. Yeah, we're good.
public safety has 6 resolutions, they're all renewals. Chipotle Mexican Grill, 193 West 237th, Pelican Restaurant, 5592, 5594 Broadway, Riverdale Gourmet, 3543 Riverdale Avenue, Sushi Inc., 3532 Johnson Avenue, Che Meal Restaurant, 5761 Broadway, and Calle Bar and Grill, 3638 Bailey Avenue. The 50th said they were unaware of any prior notable disturbances or complaints at any of these establishments. Public Safety Committee voted unanimously to approve all of them. Some of them are for full liquor licenses, some of them are for wine, beer, and cider, or beer and cider. So those 6 will be brought up at the next Public Safety meeting, which will be on Tuesday, October 17th at 7 p.m. Just also of note, we were supposed to have our first application for a legal cannabis place. They withdrew at the last moment, and they withdrew because there's litigation, not against that particular establishment, but in general, which is preventing any of these applications from moving forward until the litigation is resolved. So we have no timetable on that and very little details about what the actual litigation is about. But none of these legal cannabis places are going to be presented until that's settled. So we have that. And I just wanted to say also, I've been on this board for a little over 5 years. I've never seen anything like that. It's kind of disturbing to me. There was some very nasty stuff being said.
There were 3 of them.
Yeah, there was 3 of them too. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is so we need to be aware. So that's a coordinated attack right there. And I'm gonna actually bring this up with the 50th as far as, I don't know what it constitutes. It's some type of cyber harassment.
Cold Zoom bombing, and they do have a unit in the NYPD.
And I definitely will speak to them about that, but just for future meetings, be prepared that this might happen again, because if it's 3, it was at least 3 people there, so, and that was some pretty nasty stuff we spoke about hate crimes at our committee. I don't know what category this falls into, but it was some very nasty stuff, and it's something we should keep an eye on. That's for my 2 cents.
Have it recorded,
So I think
exactly.
it may qualify for police report in the office, and
Believe me, I'm gonna look into it.
it may be a complaint report.
Go back to March 2020, which was our first Zoom meeting. I was chair then. It was the first Zoom meeting. And speaking with other community boards that were, just starting with this, they were getting that back in March and April 2020. We never got it until now, but other community boards got it immediately, and it was racist and was anti-Semitic, was really violent. I don't know what has happened to the other boards. It'd be interesting to talk to the borough president's office and see if this is a new wave that's coming. But it's new for us, but it's not new.
What incentive was hit, really bad.
I just wanted to say one thing also, that like a lot of times it's kids just being stupid, but I don't think that's the case in this, because I saw an individual there with symbols behind him, and it looked, right.
Yeah, fully covered.
Definitely report.
I just wanted to raise I thought that the cannabis license was for a facility that was directly beside the motel that's being converted to a school. Is that not true?
No. The homeless, it was the homeless shelter up by, the city line.
Further up.
661.
Shelters. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it, okay, thank you.
I don't know how we can do this, but given our experience tonight, I think, and I've thought this for a long time, actually, I think we should insist that, whoever zooms in, identify themselves, and that we require them to have their camera on.
I think that would change it, their camera was on and they had
Yeah,
names.
but if we saw somebody with a full mask on, we would know to get rid of him quickly.
I think the norm is that you just have to register in advance, that's the way they.
That's what we did at council, because we had that situation, and they had to have a passcode to get on.
Yeah.
So you had to ask for it,
Well, we're
and
gonna,
those are the only people allowed in.
Well, then maybe we should investigate that, but some tells me that we're gonna have a big issue very quickly.
we're gonna look into that, Ed's gonna report it, we're gonna speak with Rabbi Kaplan with his offer. So we're gonna move on, because we're definitely, we're not just gonna let it go, because that was very disturbing.
Yeah.
Very, that's why I checked the door, okay?
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so then, traffic and transportation, that's Kelly?
Oh, okay,
Kelly?
we're moving on.
Yeah, you finished, right, Ed?
Stop sharing.
Stop sharing it?
Unmute the next unmute Kelly.
Oh, the street renaming, oh, I see, never mind, it is for Kelly. It was the
Kelly,
SLAs.
unmute. Okay, there you go. Okay,
Are
you're
you
up,
able
Kelly.
to hear me now?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you. The street renaming for James Packus, was discussed at the last meeting. I will note that the renaming has, the office is working to get additional letters on behalf of the applicant. They're also, reaching out to the family to make sure that the family supports the street renaming. And I also note that the, honoree's date of death is not, is just shy of the 2-year marker. So the, date of death will, the anniversary is in December, so that will be his anniversary and the actual eligibility for that. So once we have, information, the additional information, we will present the matter to the full board. The next meeting is TNT meeting is October 19th, and it will be at the office. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kelly.
Jimmy Packus, Tigerdale.
Wait, let Kelly answer, it's her committee. Hey, Kelly, you had a question?
Sure, what's the question?
Hey,
Well, I couldn't read the names. I asked,
ask the question,
Who is
she'll
Jimmy
tell you.
Packus?
Oh, James Packus, his family, had the Esso station on 230th and Tibbet, for over 70 years. 40 years ago, he assumed, the business, and he had been running it until his passing in December 2021. It's now known as Riverdale Auto Collision.
Just to note that he had quite a few letters of support, one of them from, ex-borough president Fernando Ferreira, and a lot of reputable community residents in the area.
Received the most valuable merchant
Yes.
award.
Thank you. Okay, Kelly, that's it?
That's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
You're
Okay, Julia Gomez for youth?
So the next meeting's the 16th. We're gonna be talking about the youth committee supporting the veterans event from Memorial Grove. So if you're interested, come hang out with us. The end.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, and then we have our special committees. Margaret, for streets, do you have anything?
Tomorrow is our next meeting at 7 PM at the office. We're gonna be discussing committee, objectives for the year.
Thank you. Sergio, for veterans?
Our meeting October 30th, I'm trying really hard not to have it at the office, but I will let the office know by the end of the week so we can get the notice out.
Okay, great.
If you don't hear from me, it's gonna be at the office.
What's
October 30th, 7:08 PM.
And then Bob Benza is in here for his committee. Is anyone reporting? Bob Benza?
Go.
Julie, just wanted, my, budget report, just a quick adjustment. I've, was asked to, identify a vice chair, and
Second, sidebar here, go ahead.
Yes, okay. I was asked to, identify a vice chair for the budget committee, and I asked, and Scott, our treasurer, gracefully, accepted to be the vice chair of the budget committee. And it made a lot of sense for the treasurer and the budget chair to meet monthly to discuss.
Gracefully or graciously?
Well, thank you, Scott and David. And no one's reporting, no one, go ahead.
I just wanted to add one thing that I forgot. So I asked Joy Campbell Privitere to be the vice chair of public safety, and she accepted, so she's.
Good, you guys have a busy, good.
And I guess just hearing about that with meeting spaces, if you do want different meeting spaces, you let us know. The Methodist Nursing Home did offer their space. I did offer that to aging and to the health and hospitals, but I'm sure anyone who would like to have a meeting there can. They have a TV, they have a screen set up there. There's other spaces, they've offered their space to us gracefully for full board, but possibly can use for other committee meetings if you plan on having a larger crowd. We try to have it here because it is somewhat easier to have it here if everyone can fit here, but just wanted to put that out there. And if there are other spaces you're thinking of, yes, of course, we'll reach out and see if they're available.
It's a little bit challenging for Farrah to find other places now because of the hybrid, especially trying to find.
Because of the virtual aspect.
Because of the virtual. And it's because we're trying to get more locations in Kingsbridge and Fight and Dive all over, so if you know of any places outside of this area, it would be a great assistance to
So,
us.
I have a question. What's the challenge with the,
Have to have a screen, we have to set up cameras, make sure some places are not good with their Wi-Fi or technology-wise. They're great just to have a in-person meeting when you don't have that, but if they have that other aspect, it's very hard on the staff to help set up for that in certain spaces.
Well, there is no staff.
Well,
Except that
well, the staff does help set up.
No, I'm not talking here, I'm talking about to go elsewhere.
But you would need someone to do that, so
Okay.
unless your committee does it.
No, unless you're committee, that's,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I should have raised my hand, I should know better.
Marty?
Unless you yourself are going to visit that space, check it out, pick up the equipment, return the equipment, there's not staff for the committee meeting.
no, I figured.
each committee chair has latitude to decide whether or not they're going to be telecommunicating. It's inappropriate or not possible. Public safety cannot, they meet in the precinct, nobody comes in. They used to have the Economic Development Committee at various restaurants. The capacity wasn't there. So it wasn't there.
What is the capacity?
Where, for here?
No, let's say I wanted to have a meeting at XY place. Do I need a laptop? Can I use my phone? Like, what is?
The virtual
Yeah,
part of it?
for the virtual part of it.
If everyone had a laptop, you could do it, because everyone would be visible on their own laptops. That would work.
So if everyone could be visible on their own phone,
It would work,
it would work, I see.
yeah.
I've only got three
Actually, it would
members,
work.
And to that end, last night, Economic Development had a meeting, I don't think it was teleconference, but was it recorded?
No, you don't have, the committee chair, and correct me if I'm wrong, the committee chair decides if they want to have it off-site or wherever, and if you cannot have the equipment, then it's just not recorded. Ed doesn't record it, Nick, all his meetings are not recorded.
There's minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just gonna
The
move.
original resolution.
Right, I'm gonna move this along for the unfinished business, we have 5 more minutes. This conversation could continue after we finish. So, any unfinished business?
Saturday's the DV walk for the Bronx DA's office. I sent the link to the office just now. Anybody who's interested, the office has the link.
Thank you.
I know it rained and rained and rained and rained. Did Manhattan College have that event on Saturday?
One from the SAFO application, it was denied.
I know that.
I was wondering.
Notify
Margaret, did you
the-
notice, was there a?
Notify the police,
Are they out there?
but we can find out. The
Rain and
interesting thing
rain.
is, the other SAPO event that you approved was eventually denied by SAPO. And I think because they didn't supply the paperwork that they asked for, that they have to provide.
You're referring to the girls' prep?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
They asked what they had to provide, and we said go to SAPO and find out.
To them to make sure they have the right papers in with SAPO.
Any other unfinished business? Any new business? You guys can chat for 3 minutes and I'll leave you alone. Oh, what about Zoom? The Zoom, do you guys have any new business, old
The beer
business?
party that they weren't serving beer at, by giving out.
The meeting.
Selling it, they would be.
You can have it wherever.
But yeah, it's good to have here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My email?
The meeting,
Okay, let me
can I stop the
just
recording?
adjourn the meeting. Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Okay, you need to vote on it. Anyone object?